Welcome to Marathon. May I help you?
Yes.
How may I help you?
You can start by wiping that dumb smile off your rosy cheeks. Then you can give me a automobile.
And I want to look him straight in the eye, and I want to tell him what a cheap, lying, no-good, rotten, four-flushing, low-life, snake-licking, dirt-eating, inbred, overstuffed, ignorant, blood-sucking, dog-kissing, brainless, hopeless, heartless, fat, bug-eyed,
I gotta listen to people because you're ordering.
Story time. I'm old. I remember my mom told me that we were going to get to go see, I think it was The Little Mermaid in theaters, or the Ninja Turtle movie in theaters. I don't know that they were both new movies at the time. I don't recall. All I know is that little me was told that he might get to go see live-action Ninja Turtles in the theater, maybe, or a Disney movie with the princesses. Me and my mom and my mom's adult lady friend and their daughters, guess which one they decided to see? So anyways, I watched Ninja Turtles on VHS, and it was an awesome moment when Raphael said the word damn. In fact, he was so angry, he was so edgy, he said, damn. That's how you know things were serious. Because nothing can convey to the 8-year-old mind the seriousness and edginess of the situation than by 2 curse words in a row. But seriously, how many of us grew up watching movies and TV? Virtually everybody. I read an article that said cable TV has basically flooded the US living room with all sorts of blasphemy, all sorts of crude language that you may not have heard otherwise growing up as a little one, but you definitely heard it. Now, I'm not a Puritan. I'm not actually convinced that all cussing is wrong. But before I say what I'm going to say, here's one reason why I almost sort of like the reasons people cuss. I'm not talking about cursing. We're talking about cussing. One, it can be a bit cathartic. The psychological release of venting anger or emotion, just in a single word, can be, it can be fun. I also like people who have a little bit of fire in the belly, people who have a little bit of fight in them. I prefer that to sheepish people. I like humble people, meek people, but I like people with a little bit of rock and roll. People who don't always just do as they're told by every would-be authority. But here's 2 reasons, maybe 3, why I think that we actually do cuss too much. People have always cussed, and I think it's gotten a lot more prevalent and casual with my generation, with millennials. I remember being in South Mississippi changing my oil and saw some like 8, 9-year-old kids walking by just dropping F-bombs and blasphemies, GDs, every few seconds, and thinking, man, this is something you'd hear from like a Vietnam vet, but not an 8 or 9-year-old kid. But now it's extremely common. I was in the Marine Corps, and Marines cuss like virtually no one else cusses, and oftentimes it's got some stank on it. It's a little violent. In the barracks, someone had brought their family in, and I think I was on duty just kind of guarding the barracks, and a little kid was around, and these guys were dropping so many, just the most vulgar type of swears and languages. I actually went up and said, "Hey guys, there's actually little kids around. Let's dial it back." And then one of the guys looked at me kind of funny, and it turns out that was the guy's dad. That was the kid's dad. It's the same kind of crowd that takes their little kids to an Eminem concert or to Deadpool. So I think this has gotten much more common and casual in American society and Australian society. But I think it's not always the best thing. One, I've noticed that sometimes people who cuss so casually really aren't independent and strong. Sometimes they're actually, not everyone, but some of them are actually quite fragile. It's like they can drop an F-bomb, but the moment you say something that slightly offends them, blocked online. 2 points, the case against cussing. I think that there can be something satisfying about dropping a word that begins with the PH phonetic sound, it ends in a hard K sound. It's something that's satisfying to say. But we've used that to express virtually every emotion or feeling at this point. You're extremely happy, you're effing happy. You're extremely sad, I'm effing sad, bro. You're angry, I'm effing angry, bro. But this betrays, I think, a lack of a full vocabulary. We use cussing, we use this 5 or 6, maybe 8 words as substitutes for a richer vocabulary that I think gentlemen and ladies should have. Someone who is literate in the sense that they don't know how to read. Not only do they know how to read, but they read well. Just as an example, instead of saying that is extremely effing sad, bro, you could say that's morose. Instead of saying I'm effing mad, bro, you could say livid, incensed, enraged, wrathful, apoplectic. Yeah, try using that one sometimes. Ballistic. Turns out, by the way, some of these words are actually just as satisfying, including the word cathartic. Instead of saying effing happy or very happy, you could say euphoric, enraptured, jubilant, overjoyed, delirious with glee. Okay, don't say the last one, you might get beat up. But I hope you take the point. There's a plethora of words in the English language that borrow from the deep wells of Latin, French, German, Greek, and other languages that give us a lot of tools in our toolbox to express our thoughts and emotions. Which leads me to the second reason in the case against cussing. Have you noticed that most of the words most often used refer directly to bodily functions? There's a tendency I've talked about in this channel of the world, especially in modernity, to reduce humanity to the lowest common denominator, usually to reduce us to the material aspects. And often that has to do with our bodily functions. Now, there's nothing wrong with bodily functions. I'm no prude, I'm no Puritan. But it's interesting to me that the words we use the most often refer to bodily functions. Some of them base animal functions, like defecation. So it's actually lazy to use that simple one-syllable word for defecation rather than using the more refined, thoughtful words of a gentleman. I think that there are things like great literature, great architecture, religion that actually reminds us of things above. It elevates our eyes, our wills, our minds to the sacred, rather than bringing us back into the ordinary, the world of the mundane. This is one of the reasons I have a distaste for modern art and some modern music, is because it focuses not on the hardships of life, but sort of lets us dwell in filth. Whereas we'd all be happier and I think more fulfilled. We can strive to be a higher type of a person by elevating all these things to things above. But it's difficult to do that when we're dropping F-bombs and words for defecation for every single emotion and thought. So here's the last thing. This is a bit religious and it's just my theory because I know how crazy this sounds. So I'm a Christian and I've recently converted to Catholicism, and I am more convinced than ever that there is a spiritual realm. And one of the things I think about, because of experiences in my own life, because of the Christian system I've adopted, I think there are non-human persons, we'll say demons, who actually want to dehumanize us. They want to dehumanize you and make your life as small and low and miserable as possible. We're made in the image of God. These creatures hate God, and therefore they're trying to take it out on us. So I've heard multiple exorcists say this. For what it's worth, I don't know. I can't prove this. I don't know, but I suspect it's true. When someone is possessed, exorcists say that often, just like in the movies, The Exorcism, these creatures will often cuss and say the most vile things imaginable because they are debased. They like to degrade. Why do we do this to ourselves? So many of us are depressed now, and I think it comes down to sometimes simple things like the clothes we wear don't fit, they don't feel well, the language we use is cheap, the food we eat is cheap, and sort of we don't have the full version of what we're due. It's sort of like that scene in The Lord of the Rings when you see Arwen and she's a beautiful lady, and you see her in her normal attire, but then Frodo can sort of see after he's been stabbed, he can see Arwen as he probably truly is, this greater creature. I think there's truth there. There's nothing wrong with our physical selves, but we're not just physical selves, we're physical and spiritual. And I think that we can not live in the realm of the animal, appeal to sort of leave our lives towards our animal sides, but sort of strive towards our more angelic sides, because in a sense, human beings are both animal and angel. And we can show that with things as simple as our everyday choice of words. Before you go, I hope there's one thing that you know. Your life actually matters. Nihilism is a lie, and no matter how bad it gets out there, your life is worth living, so live it well. As always, thanks for watching. God bless.
Everything that guy just says, bull.